Hello everyone. So today we have none other than the legendary Pankaj Advani, who is a legendary figure in the field of Q sports. He has been the world champion a total number of 27 times. Yes, you heard it right. And for this contribution, he has been honored by the government of India with the Arjuna Award as well as the Major Dhyan Khel Ratna Award. In addition to this, he has also been honored with the Padma Shri as well as the Padma Bhushan, India's fourth and third highest civilian honors in 2009 and 2018 respectively. Join us in an exclusive chat with the legend as we talk about his journey, some of his struggles and challenges, some of his most memorable moments, as well as his thoughts regarding the education sector, not just in India but in the world as a whole.
Okay, Pankaj. So to start, I'm keen to learn about the very beginning of your journey. Like, could you share with us what initially attracted you to the Q sports and how you have nurtured your passion?
Sure. So as a school kid, I mean, I was always exposed to the more conventional outdoor sports, whether it was basketball, cricket, football, or
Okay.
even the physical sports like table tennis, badminton. But at the age of 10, when I stumbled upon this game, actually, there's a story to it. So my elder brother Shri used to go to this small snooker club near our house in Bangalore,
Okay.
and during the holidays he used to go with his friends and play this game. And I was always curious to what kind of game this is, and it's a very unique, different game played indoors. So I used to follow him because of the curiosity. I said, let me see what's happening inside this small little club where they're playing a very different game. And I kept observing. I was not allowed to play because I was very short, and I observed the stance, the technique, how you strike the ball, what are the rules of the game, all of that. And after 3 weeks of watching him, very quietly, I said, now I have to take a shot. So the
Okay.
first shot that I ever tried on the table, the ball, to my pleasant surprise, disappeared into the pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, very first shot that I played on the table. And from there, I mean, there was no looking back really. I was completely hooked to this sport. I also have to say that I think obviously I was, reasonably good. I wouldn't say even like above average in all of the other sports, but this sport there was something special. I felt like, there was some kind of
Okay,
uh,
so you got a catch into the game,
yeah,
you can say. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so 26 world champions till date. How
Sorry,
important?
27.
Oh, I'm really sorry, it's
No worries.
27. So,
No worries.
how
No worries.
important do you feel are awards for a sports person? Do you feel it might distract new and young players, or it simply, appreciates them or push them to, achieve something better?
See, awards are obviously, it all depends on how you handle it, firstly. But I feel that awards given to deserving sports persons with huge achievements,
Mhm.
irrespective of their age. I mean, a person can be 16 years old and, maybe conquering the world in their respective sport, deserves an award. It doesn't matter if, you're younger or older, as long as you have, you've achieved at the very top, and you've been consistent in your field.
Mhm.
So I always believe that awards would serve as a boost and motivation for athletes, whether they're young, middle-aged, or old. I remember receiving, well, the Arjuna Award in 2004.
Mhm.
I was just 19 years old at that time, and then the Khel Ratna Award in 2006, and I was 21 years old. And these are the highest sporting awards of the country, given by, awarded by the government of India.
Yes, they
So
are.
for me,
Yeah.
that was a huge motivation. It was an acknowledgement of my effort, of all my efforts in Q sports, in wanting to take my country forward in this game, and putting it on the world map. And it gave me immense joy, to not only to me, to my family, to my whole team, to my coach, my well-wishers, supporters, and propel me to further improve and achieve for India.
Great. Okay, so what do you enjoy the most about playing pool? Like, how do you find it interesting? Like, what's the catch?
I mean, I basically play billiards and snooker, and billiards and snooker are two games played on the same table with
Mm-hmm.
slightly with different rules. Billiards is played with 3 balls, snooker is played with 22 balls, and there are a lot of differences in terms of technique, scoring patterns, the way you approach the game.
Mm-hmm.
The best part about this game is, Paulmi, that it transports me to another world. Uh, so when I say that, I mean that when I step on into the billiards room, and when I put my hands on the table and I'm aligning for my shot, there is no other thought in my mind that worries me, that occupies my mind. It is only me, the table, striking the ball into the pocket. That's all I worry about. That's all I think about, rather. That's all I focus on. And it takes me completely away from everything else in this world, which is a wonderful feeling to have.
Definitely. So
And
it's
it
your
gives me so
love,
much
you can
joy.
love of the life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It gives me immense joy because it gives me a reason to look forward to something every morning when I wake up.
Great, great. That's really nice. Okay, so have you had any memorable or funny experiences in your career so far?
Yeah. Uh, Funny, memorable. Uh, well, actually, so in 2019, I was playing the Asian Championship, and this one particular Asian Snooker Championship it was a trophy that had eluded me for a very long time. I had won all the other trophies internationally, nationally, but
Mm-hmm.
this particular championship was eluding me for a long time, and I reached 4 finals, over the last decade before that, right from 2004 until 2017. In several editions, I'd reached the finals, but I'd lost in the finals or semis. And again, it was another occasion in 2019 where I reached the finals. This was in Doha.
Okay.
And I again started on the wrong foot. I was down 3 frames to 1. It was a best of 11. So basically, whoever wins 6 frames wins the match and the championship. And I was one. My opponent was three. He was dominating the game and getting the better of me at that point. And then there was a break. And the worst part was that I was down with 104 fever.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, so I just went to the tournament office. The tournament director is a friend of mine. He's a local over there in Doha, and he said that I'm really sorry for you, and I feel really bad that. In other words, he was indicating to me that listen, it's yet another time where you're going to go through the
Mm-hmm.
heartbreak of not having the trophy in your hands. And I just laughed at him and I said, listen, it's not over yet, because there's still the second half of the match to go, and I'm gonna fight till the very last ball. I don't know what's gonna happen, but the match isn't over as yet. So so I said, because I couldn't, I had I had such high fever, I couldn't even eat anything. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, just get me tea whenever I need some. So I asked the coach of the Indian team, and even the director, to help out and just make sure that I have my hot tea, regularly, so that I can at least feel a little stimulated and not shivering and stuff.
Okay, so
And I
you
kept
are a
sipping on that.
tea aficionado. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, 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 of course. Dude, I'm actually a teetotaler, a TEA totaler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, with 104 fever, I just sipped on my tea throughout the match, and I managed to turn it around. And eventually, I won the next 5 frames in a row, leaving my opponent at three, and I raced to 6 frames to eventually win the championship for the first time.
Wow.
So yeah, so I mean, sometimes sometimes somebody can say something to you, which can either adversely affect your mood, or can channelize that inner emotion or that anger and say, you know what, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to show you. I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm
It
not done
works as a
yet.
catalyst, right?
Absolutely, as a catalyst. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you feel changes are needed in our education system to promote art and sports as much as academics?
It's a very good question. In fact, very recently I went to an international school
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend for their annual sports meet. To just go there as a chief guest. They were kind enough to invite me.
Okay.
distribute a few awards and interact with the kids of the higher classes. And what I found was that yeah, the students were very well informed and aware of what's happening in the world of sport, current affairs, and all of that. And it was a very different way. I mean, in the sense that I agree with you that I think that we need to definitely change the way we teach our children and the whole process of education. Because back in the day, of course, I studied in school. My school was great, no doubt. They supported me immensely in my career,
Mm-hmm.
even my college. But it was more about just learning things that would really not be applicable, in our lives after we passed out, and more of theoretical lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that we need to add practical lessons in our schools, in our education policy.
Mm-hmm.
Moral education, I think, is extremely important at a young age. Even
Right.
things like sex education
Mm-hmm.
can go a long way in educating children at a very young age. But you have to be a
True.
little obviously circumspect when you deal with those things. But yeah, definitely a lot of changes can be made so that our children are equipped now to enter into the real world with practical knowledge more than theoretical knowledge.
True. True.
And of
So,
course, be good
mhm.
human beings, um, and be
Indeed,
good human beings yeah, when
it's the
they step
most
into the real world.
important facet, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Why pool is not as popular in India as in other countries? Like, what steps do you feel are needed to promote the popularity of the game?
So, Paul, sorry, before I answer that question, so there are different versions of cue sports. So, pool is played recreationally, which is on a smaller table. So, what I
Okay.
play and what I represent India
Billiard.
is
Right. I'm really
billiards and
sorry.
snooker. No, no, no worries. Billiards and snooker, which is
Yeah.
played on a bigger table with, a little more technical and played in
Mm-hmm.
competitive arenas and stuff. So yeah, I mean, coming back to your question, billiards and snooker are played by a lot of young people across different cities, whether they're tier two cities, even the metros
Mm-hmm.
across the country.
Mm-hmm.
However, if we were to showcase this game and show the best players and the most talented players of our country,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of make it more visible, we have to go to television, right? There is no
Right.
better platform than television to make our sport visible and make the masses and people aware of the rules and the level at which the game can be played. Secondly, I feel that there needs to be more accessibility because
Mm-hmm.
I know people, a lot of people, people who interviewed me or even meet me for the first time say, "Yeah, this is a game for the elite or rich." But that's a big misconception because all of us who've actually taken up this sport have come from middle class backgrounds. The
Okay.
only issue I see is that there's the lack of access to facilities, especially if you're not near a social club or even an association for that matter. But setting up of academies, so the
Mm-hmm.
federations, the state governments, the authorities all have to work in coordination and in tandem to make these things happen.
Right. Okay. So Pankaj, what do you love to do when you put down your cue?
Uh, yeah, because I travel quite a bit, so obviously spending time with the family, catching up on movies, this sometimes because the game is quite intense, since it requires prolonged periods of concentration and
Mm-hmm.
mentally, emotionally, it does take a lot out of you. I believe that every tournament that I play, it takes something out of me because of the stress of the competition, the anxiety to perform. Um, there is that those butterflies in your stomach before every game. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
I do feel them before every match, and that's what keeps me going because if I didn't feel them, then I know that I've become complacent somewhere down the line. So yeah, and meeting up with my friends and just doing to take my mind off the game because once I'm on the table, I'm completely in it. And over the years also I've sort of altered my practice in such a way, my practice routines, where
Mm-hmm.
I concentrate more on quality than quantity. Back in the day when I was really young, when I started off the game at the age of 10, 11, I used to play for about 6 hours, 6.5 hours, 7 hours, which is a lot of time.
Oh
And
my
now I
God.
just, yeah, nowadays I just keep it very concise, play 1.5, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and that's it.
Mhm.
And then if I want to go for a second session, then I rest and then I come back.
Okay, so how do you handle pressure during those important matches? Like, it's about
Uh,
focusing for so long.
I have to credit in this department to my elder brother Shri. So
Okay.
while, yeah, because he's a good 7 years older, 7.5 years older than me, and while he introduced me to my career, which is becoming a top billiards and snooker player, I introduced him to his career, which is sports psychology.
Okay.
So there was a phase where I was going through a rough patch, and he actually was in Australia, and he flew down to India to help me deal with, whatever problems I was facing mentally,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked, and I, ended up winning the Asian Games gold medal after that, in 2006. So he then realized that okay, if I can make a positive impact and change in my brother's state of mind and
Mm-hmm.
mental state, then I can definitely work with several other athletes of different disciplines of sport.
Mm-hmm.
So he then did his PhD in sports psychology, and now he works with athletes from across top athletes from different sports, whether it's golf, tennis, badminton, you name the sport, and cricket, he's working with some of the top players.
Great. So
So
you
I
have a
introduced him to
beautiful
his career.
support system with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're very lucky.
Yeah, I am exactly, I'm very lucky.
Okay, so in case if you were not a sports person, what would you be?
Now, honestly, I don't have the answer to that, Polemy, because
You
so,
have
when
never
I
thought of
was
anything else, right?
I mean, so when I was a young kid, the first tournament that I ever participated in, you just like, how in golf you have handicaps. So if you're not at a
Mm-hmm.
very high level, then you get extra number of points or shots to make up the difference in the standard and make sure that you are on par with the better players. So even in snooker, there is, you have these handicap tournaments where you get extra number of points to match up with the top players. So when I
Mm-hmm.
was 10 years old, 11 actually at that time, I entered my name in this handicap tournament in Bangalore, and I happened to, beat some of the top players. Obviously, because I got those extra points from them. Otherwise, I had no chance, as a beginner. But
Okay.
I ended up beating most of them, and then I ended up winning that tournament for the first time in my life when I participated. So it was, it was an amazing feeling. But obviously, I knew that because I got those extra points, I won. And the person who was interviewing me after the tournament, because I was really young, and it was a very fascinating story for all the media people that somebody who's so tiny and so small would
Mm-hmm.
end up winning this, this tournament without any experience whatsoever. And the interviewer asked me, he said, what would you like to become when you grow up? So I said, I'd like to become a businessman. And I paused for a few seconds, and as an afterthought, I told him that I'd also like to become a world champion in billiards and snooker one day.
And you did that.
And I did, yes.
Great. Okay, so any advice for the next gen sports persons like who come after you?
Uh, I mean, see, today, of course, today times have changed. Follow me back. I mean, when I was 18, 20, 21, fully focusing on my sporting career and obviously academics at the same time. I prioritized and I made sure that I gave enough time to both aspects because I knew academics was very important. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure today the children also know exactly what they want, the youngsters. But at the same time, there is a lot more distractions, your gadgets, social media, um, things are available, at the click of a button, there's several more opportunities. Things have opened up a lot more compared to before. But that
Mm-hmm.
also means that it's more difficult to focus on one activity, especially if you're dealing with sport, because sport requires your mind and body to be in sync. And it cannot, just stray, and then you come back and you say, okay, now I want to practice and all. You have to devote a lot more of your mind and body to honing your skills and perfecting them in any particular sport. So
True. Yeah.
I just say that, if your heart and soul is in something, pursue it, but don't do it for the rewards or the name, fame, or money. All that will follow automatically. Uh, if you're taking up something, do it for the right reasons. Do it because you love doing it, because you enjoy doing it, and you genuinely want to excel in it.
So that innate love is important, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so one last question. Would you share some fitness and health tips that you follow for physical and mental capacity equity?
Well, actually, I don't know if I'm the right person to be telling you right now because I'm facing a little lower back problem right now. But
Okay.
so, but I mean, whatever I've seen over the years, I mean, see, everybody has their own way of functioning when it comes to fitness or their own ideas or concepts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to look at the simplest of things, just do your walks regularly,
Mm-hmm.
stretch regularly, especially if it's for sports persons, then there are certain muscles that are targeted more than the others when you're performing or when you're
Mm-hmm.
training and practice.
Mm-hmm.
So stretch regularly, walk regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness is not only about building muscles or yeah, of course, stamina, endurance is very important, building your cardiovascular capacity, all of that. But when it comes down to the basics, don't sit for two very long periods of time. Um, you know, Things like that. So get enough exposure to sunlight and fresh air. Those. So I think, yeah, those are, and eat. I mean, eat right. So we've got so many options nowadays. Now even online, you
Mm-hmm.
can just at the click of a button call for anything. But even those things, you have options of eating,
Mm-hmm.
right, eating healthy versus eating
Junk and all.
foods,
Yeah.
junk, and with foods which are loaded with a lot of calories. So just balance things. I mean, I would just say, yeah, balance things. You don't have to go overboard, of course, unless your profession demands it. Like sports like wrestling or very very physical sports, you need to
Mm-hmm.
be really strict with your diet. But at a general level, I would just say that, yeah, balance things and do your walks regularly, stretch regularly, build. I mean, I wouldn't say go for strength training, but at least strengthen your muscles, and that's exactly what I've been doing now for the last few
Okay.
years. Just strengthening my muscles so that they support me when I'm using them constantly, uh,
Mm-hmm.
during my game.
Okay. So get well soon. Like you told, you have a lower
Thank
back pain. I wish you a
Yeah,
quick recovery.
thank you, thank you. I've been off practice for the last 2 days. I'm actually traveling after a week for my Asian Championships, so I'm just
Okay.
waiting
Best
until
of
I'm going to
luck.
go ahead. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you so
We look
much.
forward to another victory.
Sure, sure. Hopefully, with your good wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. It
Thank
was
you.
great, like having a time with you. Like we don't spend most of our days to talking to someone like you. So it has been a great experience. I'll remember this. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your time,
Pauline.
Pankaj.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.